Andrea, we are at episodes 6 for our dip into the pond and our trip to the Spencer sisters. I guess we're over halfway there now. So, are you ready to talk about them?
I mean, I liked one better than the other this week, so there's that.
I did too, but I did last week too, and you didn't.
No, last week I didn't like either. So this one, I liked one of them this week. So we'll find out which one.
It better be the right one. Otherwise, we'll have to have technical difficulty and you get muted. Well, this is Eric.
This is Andrea.
And this is Hallmark Mysteries and more.
This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark channel.
So how was the basketball game?
It was delightful. That was one of the best Timberwolves probably wins of the season. They played wonderful. They got their rookies in. My son was invested in the game. He was cheering for Anthony Edwards, who apparently that was an actor on the George Clooney era. Oh, not Grey's Anatomy. What was George Clooney in?
Yeah, he was in Grey's Anatomy.
No,
Anthony Edwards. That's the dude
doctor.
who is in Revenge of the Nerds.
Yes. Yes.
I think he was Goose, if I'm not mistaken, in Top Gun.
It is not that Anthony Edwards. So a few times I referenced that. People were thinking him. And I was like, no.
Wait, not that, like, people are thinking like he plays for the Timberwolves?
I mean, I think jokingly, but that's the only Anthony Edwards.
I would say I've never thought that he was a professional basketball player in 2025.
Yeah. Nope. So
or
that was
1998 for that matter.
That's funny. Yeah. So no, they played wonderful. It was delight, and I was glad that I missed the new Hannah and went to the game instead. It was great. So I did watch, obviously, when we review Hannah later, but.
I don't know where to go with this, but I guess we'll find out.
That's the show I was thinking of. Thank goodness I thought
we said
ER. No, you said Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, yeah, same thing.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. So that way, in case anyone's listening, is like, no, what are you thinking? It's ER. That's what he was. I was just a little too young for that show. Like, I remember my mom watching it. Obviously, Murder, She Wrote I enjoyed.
Don't date me because it was the huge thing. And
yeah, you should have remembered it.
One of my claims to fame is I'm like one of the only people of my age group who's never watched the show. Never watched one episode.
Can't remember the name of it.
Which, Grey's Anatomy. It might as well be Grey's Anatomy too, right? Don't watch that. All right, well, let's talk about something we do watch. What do you say, unfortunately?
The Way Home. Let's dive into the pond called Ain't No Sunshine. Kat and Jacob uncover a dark moment in Port Haven's past. Elliot reckons with his past and fate. Alice worries about what her future might hold. So I'll just kind of dive in first. What did I like? I really liked the lunar eclipse scene with Kat saving the townspeople and referencing the song. That was kind of fun. And her just kind of going through the lyrics, so connected it back an episode, because sometimes I'm always wondering if these things are just thrown at the wall and we're supposed to remember that, but they kind of resolved a little bit of something, maybe. I liked that Kat being honest, I guess, at the end and saying she killed her dad. It might not have been the best timing to say that to her brother as she's about to jump in the pond. Not sure that was great there. And then telling her mom that as well as she's coming out of the pond again. Interesting timing. And then the other thing I really liked is the Golden Girls comes on after The Way Home. And that just hits me right in the heart. When that theme song hits, I'm like, yes, I am going to stay up a little extra later so I can watch my Golden Girls and cleanse my palate of The Way Home.
That's what I was going to ask. It's like, is your palate cleansed? So.
Yes. What about you? What'd you like?
The horses, they came back. Well, at least the horse. Early on, there was a scene with, like, the first scene with Dell was right there where she's with the horse.
Nope, don't recall that one.
Come on, that's the highlight of the episode.
I mean, okay, it was a very minor scene, Eric.
I liked that Emma came and
Oh,
She is kind of calling Elliot on his BS and saying, what's up? Uh, the scene didn't quite go as probably anyone expected, but regardless, she came there and was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then, is that wait? Is we were having this whole big thing of my confusion, and I'm getting confused again. That was Nick, right? As we have all the names. Who is
that
it?
is Nick. That was
Okay,
the one who Alice was dating back when they were teens, the
teens.
first season. And then he came back in as adult
Right, and she
last
was all
year. And
confused.
he's back again, which
Yes.
I don't think he really needs to be,
Well, we'll
but
see.
we'll save
I
that for what I don't
I think
like.
he's gonna whatever. Since there's time travel for
Oh,
you, time travel for me, time travel for everybody. I think he's somehow gonna play into something. I don't know. I don't
oh.
know.
Well, what else did you
Um,
like? Anything?
um, I liked when Jacob shoved Cat into the pond. I've often wanted to shove her into the
Ah,
pond and send her hundreds of years away. So that was pretty good. I liked that. And then I will say, while I am divested from the show, it was a pretty, like for the people who are the fans of it, the ending I think was pretty compelling with a lot of really good drama in it, with Jacob staying back behind, her coming out and, you know, just confessing to her mom again. So I found that interesting. The little what are we to gather from the pond of Evelyn and young Colton when they go in there and all that. So that's obviously telling something. So, you know, if I was into it, I would say I think it was a pretty good ending. The problem is I'm just not invested in these characters anymore. So I like the horse.
well, I will say, I guess another thing that intrigued me was seeing Sam and Cassie together.
Wait, do we see them or did we
They walked
hear?
by the window. No,
Okay,
they
so
walked by the
I didn't
window.
notice them.
We saw them. Yes.
Okay, I
So
was
that
giving blood at the
intrigues me.
time, so
Yeah. Kind of sliding into what we didn't like. I guess for me, this episode was not for me. The back and forth between the 70s, the 1800s, present day. We just had a lot happening. And again, a lot happening, but not much depth to most of it.
well,
It seemed
we
like an
even had six.
episode.
Didn't we even have 60s because we had them as kids, right?
And I feel like this was an episode where they're trying to get us to the next, place in the season where they're headed. It was kind of like let's throw in some scenes that you're going to need in context for what we're hopefully going to be doing. I hope. So that to me was a little bit what I didn't like. Another thing I didn't like Kat landing in a mess yet again with Thomas. Just I don't know what she's doing with life as she referenced as they're in jail. But I'm just like, what? She doesn't think, and it's evident, and then it's in the story quite a bit. I did like that her and Elliot weren't together. I also found it really funny because they would show like Kat basically kind of like fighting for her life, and then cut to present day, and it's Elliot and Emma and Nick, having dinner. And it was kind of like I thought that was kind of a funny, like, oh, we're going to go here. Like, oh, big intense things. Oh, let's come into the lighthearted present day, not quite as intense of a life or death thing. So that was kind of funny or entertaining to me.
Unless you're Emma,
That's
whose
what
heart
I
was
looked
broken.
for. Well, yeah, and that's what I kind of was looking for in this episode because I this might have been my least favorite, I think, of the season. I was kind of reflecting on it
Ooh.
last night. I really didn't like it. I think it was just overstuffed. Um, yeah. What about you?
Oh, the cat narcissism update. So, like, she's told stay away, and she's like, "Nope, I'm crashing the wedding ceremony." Right? So, forget what anyone tells me. I'm not going to respect anybody's wishes, which she does have a little self-reflection a little later, which we'll talk about. And then she wears white. Now, I don't know if in 1814 or 15, whatever this is, if it was a similar type thing, but of course, Kat would wear white to a wedding that's not her own because it is all about Kat. And she just
Had to play
doesn't
up the
care.
White Witch, so that's where
Yeah, I know what
Yeah.
I get it for the story, but it's just
Yeah.
of wearing white to a
I mean,
wedding
I'm
that's
sure in the
not yours.
1800s that wasn't the case. So
Right.
I gave it a
Like-
pass to that. I thought the same thing. I
Right.
didn't research that. I should have researched that in the scene because I was intrigued.
Now, I guess I should go to what I did like. I did like when they're sitting in jail and Kat's like, well, what have I done? I didn't think this through, of which we've been saying for 3 seasons now, every time you see Kat do literally anything. But then, Kat, when she goes ahead and she starts lecturing about empathy and thinking of others when she has yet to show any empathy or thinking about others, because it's always, what does Kat want? And Kat's going to do. So I found that just very ironic. The other thing is like the time travel at the end. Help me understand. So Kat goes running in the 1800s, jumps in the pond, gets shoved in the pond, pops out in the 1960s for a moment just to save Evie and Colton, and then ends up back in the 2025. Like she had like this little mini thing. Did I?
So I was thinking, okay, so how she comes out of the water, I was like, oh, interesting. And again, who knows if they're going to play on this, but I was like, oh, so you saved Colton's life early on. Then if you save a life, that means you're going to end up killing them later in their life.
Right, but how does she get
That's
to
where
that?
my mind
But
went.
she literally spent like 20 seconds.
That was it. You saved a life. That your punishment is eventually you'll end up killing them.
But I'm trying to understand the time travel. Like, how does she
Eric, you
jump
just have to
in,
go with it. That's
come
what I'm
out?
saying. That's where I'm going with this. Is I don't know. I just assumed like that was her punishment. Is somehow the pond was like, you are going to save him, so you are born, but you will kill him because of this little blip in our time travel. I don't know, because she never really jumped out of the pond to get back in.
Right.
That doesn't make any. I don't.
Like
know.
I said, I'm confused,
know.
and that's the thing that bugs me about the whole thing. Well, I did like the eclipse somewhat there too, but the one thing of the witch with the eclipse in like the 1700s, I went and looked it up. Sir Edmund Halley learned how to predict eclipses. So I don't think in the 1814s they're going to be thinking it's witchcraft able to do a lunar eclipse, considering, well, first of all, eclipses were going back thousands of years, were figured out in Greek times, but the fact of it is, like, it wasn't, I don't think, a thing like that where you would be thinking, oh, the witches,
how would that
the witches.
information get to people?
100 years, it can travel fast enough in 100 years.
How? Post office wasn't there. Like, how do was there
people
newspapers?
came over from it? Where do you think everyone who lives in Canada came from? England.
Yeah, but I can buy it, where I feel like stuff was not as fast. Like, you didn't hear about stuff as fast.
Yeah, no, but people came from England. Hell, you had what's his name going
Witches
from
were burned
wherever
at
they
the
were in
stake
Canada to New York
in the
He went
1800s.
and ran away.
So no, I can buy it. I can buy it.
Yeah, we're cruising across, buying up all North America from the French and everything. No, I don't. I find it, like, the whole witch thing at that point a little bit silly. So whatever, move on. It just there. The last thing I'll say is, so we're led to believe Jacob stays. He just got his papers from Sam saying, "Hey, you're been proclaimed alive again." How do they, if he doesn't come back next episode or whatever, how do they explain Jacob's all of a sudden off the face of the earth again? I don't know. Something.
Just traveling. Went out of town, went out of the country, found a new job.
Hey, I'm going to take this job consulting. And, oh, by the way, he left. We don't know when he's coming back. No word. So whatever. We'll see. I'm supposed to be patient with the writers. Give me some relaxation, some techniques to relax so I can let it go.
Make your inhale and exhale an equal amount through the nose. Samavritti breath. That's my yoga. Through your nose, not your mouth there.
I
Nose.
did through the
You went, no,
and
you're
out through the mouth.
No, in and out through the nose. Only nose.
Oh, I thought you're
Yeah.
supposed to always relax with in through the
No.
nose, out.
In
Okay,
and out through the nose.
that's
That
that.
puts you in the
From now on, that's how
parasympathetic
I'm going
nervous
to
system.
watch. I'm going to watch the show.
Yeah.
In through the
Calming down.
nose, up through the nose. Think about my breathing.
Well,
Okay.
you already mentioned my standout scene or performance, which was Thomas escaping from the jail. I found that to be a very like comedic scene. And then, which you just referenced, Kat saying he doesn't have any empathy. That whole scene, I was like, this is hilarious. This is my standout scene. Like her reflection to him, I'm like, this is I no, like I don't pick that up from him.
But
I
that
pick
wasn't
that all
supposed to
up
be
from you.
ironic, right?
No,
Like
I don't think
it's
so.
supposed to be a sincere thing.
Like it really was like, wait, I don't pick that up from him at all. Like this is completely everything you just threw at him is all you, and you are the main culprit of this from any of the characters. It's so funny. Maybe Dell a little bit in there now this season, but very funny. So for me, that was my riot. What about you?
Mine is the same one, but it's the whole thing about her trying, panicking in jail and him being kind of cool, calm, and collective, only to know that they were going to escape. And she's like, "Wait, what?" I found that was quite funny. And then, well, I guess I'll deal with this a little later because it's not really a scene. It's just the thing I'm most looking forward to. So.
Well, what we are hoping is coming or not. So again, you probably didn't see the previews for what's next, but the previews show that Dell might be jumping in the pond because she wants to go back to get Jacob. Because Kat was like, I'm going to go back and try to get him, and Dell's like, well, I'm coming with. But again, as we know from editing, the previews sometimes they don't actually make it.
And
what
you don't know
happens.
if Dell can.
Yes. Well, and that's the same with like, why is Nick here? Obviously, Nick knows the secrets of the pond. Could he ruin things? Could he be a villain?
Right.
So I'm intrigued there. My other one, so I've watched The Traitors, and so The Traitors I have found also do the same editing that The Way Home does for like what they're previewing, what's next. So I was thinking this Rob, one of the guys, Rob, it looked like they're going to meet in a little small round table. So I'm thinking there's no way Rob's going to get voted out because they showed us like 2 or 3 weeks ago him meeting with the other traitors on this table. That never came. That never happened in an episode, and they voted Rob out. And so I'm sitting here thinking, whoever is editing The Traitors must also be doing The Way Home. They're both on Peacock. I'm like, I don't know what's happening here, but they are not showing us what's actually happening. And that I don't like that. I don't like those teases. Like, give us like what's actually coming, not sliced together stuff to make it look like something's going to happen, and then we get disappointed when it doesn't. So that's also what I'm hoping is coming. Better previews. What about you?
Well, mine is, I'll go back to Suzanne and something we talked about a couple episodes ago. She had the line in there saying, like, you can't always, marry the one who you're meant to. Sometimes you have to marry for whatever. And she's talking to Kat, which is
those two still have the best chemistry. Those two still have the best chemistry.
That she's supposed to have married? Because, of course, in the 1800s, while they did know about eclipses, regardless of what you think, they definitely did not accept same-sex marriages. I'm pretty darn sure, even in rural Canada. So, like, is that sort of her comment to Kat about "I love you" kind of thing? I don't know. And then obviously Sam and why am I going brain down her name? Casey. Like, ooh, as you know, all along, all I want out of this damn season is what's going on with Casey. So. And we know Sam's shady somehow, whether he's good shady or bad shady, not quite sure, but he's something. So that's what I'm looking forward to, those two characters. I'm done with all the others, so let's focus on them, and maybe I'll get back in on it.
Well, yeah, and Brady just left. We didn't get to say bye. Brady was just not in this episode. He went home. Nobody said bye. He just left.
So since I'm getting all confused in all the names at this point, what's the name of the food truck guy?
The Coils guy?
The food truck, Elsa's boyfriend.
Noah.
Is he like out of high school, older kind of thing then?
I think so. I think he graduated last year.
Okay.
So, Any final thoughts? So I have one more final thought, which again, this showed in the preview. It looks like we are getting more Casey, according to the previews. Looks like Alice confronts Casey, and then it looks like Casey sort of running to the pond to jump back to wherever she was supposed to be. So again, they could have spliced stuff together, but it looks like we are going to get some more of that. So you might be maybe happy on that part at least.
Okay.
Anything else for you?
Only, what, 3 more episodes?
No, 4, right? No.
Well, this was 6, so we have 7, 8, 9. Oh, yeah, 10. You're right.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right, Eric. Basic math. It's all right.
I know.
I'll help you out.
What can I say? The show makes me a little dumber every time I watch it.
Oh, gosh. Well, here is a show that I think both of us would have liked then. The Spencer Sisters.
I
The
told you would
Winemakers
like it, so if you come out
Woes.
liking it.
I hated it. No. The Winemaker Woes, Darby and Victoria are hired by an ex-schoolmate of Darby's to investigate acts of vandalism at his winery. So for me, what I liked, actually, yes, I agree with you. I really liked this one. I watched this one a couple times. I like that Darby has a new love interest. I thought that was a fun twist. I thought they had some great one-liners in this movie. There was some good laugh out loud, like quick dialogue. I love a good farm setting. And even if it's like that winery, it's totally fine. It's the nature scene. I love how Victoria dresses to the nines, even in a farm setting. Like she's wearing stuff that, again, having grown up on a farm, probably not super farm appropriate, but she still wears it. I also liked that Zarin Darnell Martin, who played the sister to Des in this show, was Lizzie in Mistletoe Murders and the head mistress in Jazz Ramsey. And she's in Ginny and Georgia as Dr. Lily. So that was kind of fun to see. You might recognize her or been like, oh, how do I know her? She's been other Hallmark or Ginny and Georgia, which there are some crossovers. Much like Virgin River, Ginny and Georgia also has some Hallmark crossovers as well. So that was kind of fun to see.
And
what
I
about
think
you? What did you like?
I think she's the one who also does the actual Mistletoe Murder podcast.
Correct.
I think she's one of the ones.
That's the one. Yep.
Right. So.
It is.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't catch that. Well, your notes are kind of like my notes too, but I knew this up because I'd watched this one already and then rewatched it for her. But when this one came on, I'm like, oh, I think you're gonna like this. I thought you were gonna like Des and whatever. I thought like the chemistry between them is great. So I love the fact that it was also a double romance one where both Darby and Victoria both get their guys. So, and I think they both had just banging chemistry, right? Like when the meet cute when Billy comes in with Victoria and then, comes right back. Loved it. Just loved it with, the whole parking meter. I can tell you drive the fancy car. And then he comes back. Oh, I know you're a writer and all that, the Google thing. So loved it. And then the whole thing with Des, with one of the best lines in there too, is when they show up and she's like, I don't really remember who he was in high school. And then they get there and they see him and it's like, oh, I'm an adult, I'm able to, whoa, when she saw him and stuff. I find that hilarious for Darby in that. Like you, I like the vineyard. It's actually in real life an events thing. It's not a vineyard. It's a big event thing. So your farm thing is probably more appropriate for really what it is in the real world. So, I'm hoping Billy sticks around because I really liked him. And it was really hard because it was my favorite scene and I ended up having to change it because I had a favoriter scene. But like when Darby wakes up, the morning after with Des, and you see the poster of Tyler Lautner, that's the guy's name, I think, like staring at her with a lava lamp on the bed. And then she's like, oh my gosh, you got to get out of here. And she's like trying to sneak him out and, shoving him, put your car in neutral and shove it away. And then they get down the thing. And then, of course, Victoria's like, oh yeah, do. And she's, trying to deny it. Like, oh, we were talking about the case. And then it's like, okay, at the end. And then it's like, oh, by the way, here's your bra. So that was such a fun scene. And the fact that could be such a great scene and it wasn't even my favorite. The other note I had was directly for you, which is they had their banter, but they didn't have the arguing in this one, which I know like last week, while I enjoyed it and I find that fun, I know it stresses you out a little bit. And so when I watched it, I was like, wait a minute, they're doing the thing, but they're not going after each other. So I was like, I think Andrea's going to like this. Like when I first saw it, I just thought you're going to like the setting and you're going to like Des. And then after that, I was like, all right, this hitting that note for you. So it was great. All right.
Well, what didn't you like? Well, I'll give you, well, I think as you had mentioned, the fighting. So as I was watching this one, I totally agreed with you. But what I kind of was picking up on, which I think is what I don't like, I'm like, is it the fighting? This one, I think it was definitely tapered down, but I think Darby sometimes comes off as a moody teen. So that's where I think I don't like that attitude. And it totally
Millennials.
happens. Like, well, I think anyone, if you're around your parents and you
I know.
are an adult, like you sometimes revert back to that behavior. And it seems like maybe that's how she's playing that character a little bit. And so I can't stand that and the fighting. So for me, that was the only thing I noticed. I mean, obviously it wasn't over the top, but that was what I didn't like, was just kind of that moody teen attitude. And I feel like she can give it really well as an actress, which then kind of is annoying to me. So
I think
that
you're
was
right, though.
what I
It's
didn't
probably
like.
that thing of, moving back into your old bedroom with the Tyler Lautner poster. So you probably are going to
Yeah.
revert a little bit to that
The
dynamic.
moody teen. Yeah.
So
What about you?
the two things I didn't like in this one was just a scene I found kind of like, not right, which is when they first met Dez's sister, and she's like, "Oh, customers aren't allowed here." They're standing right there with Dez talking to him. I don't think she's going to walk up to them, while they're talking to her brother, like saying, "Oh, customers aren't allowed." It clearly is they were together, so it's a weird introduction scene. They could have probably written that one a little better. And I love the writing, so it's not an overall indictment of the writing. It's just that particular scene. And then, as I told you, one of the things I really love about this are the side characters, especially Rory and Alistair. And we didn't get either of them in this one. So I wish we would have got them. And we didn't get Lucas. We didn't get Lindsay. So we didn't get any of all those side characters that I really like. So that was kind of a drag. But we got introduced to a couple new characters, so that kind of balance it out.
Well, what about the actual mystery? So kind of going into that, I kind of liked the half brother dynamic and like discovering that. I think that played kind of nice into this one. I also like that the teen was like the evil mastermind behind everything, because it doesn't happen a ton. Like they don't often give
Right.
it fully on the teen as they are the ones doing this. Even thinking back to like Diagnosis Murder, like sometimes there would be a teen involved, but they usually weren't the mastermind. It was like an adult who had coaxed them into it. Whereas this seemed to be purely the teen. So I did kind of like that dynamic. And then again, the reason why that half brother and then not pressing charges and kind of, at the end solving that relationship or working towards some healing there. So for me, I enjoyed this actual mystery. I thought it was relatable in terms of like I could see this happening in real life. Like it made sense. What about you?
It goes back to what we talked about before too, is the mysteries here are like real mysteries that I think they would be encountering, right? It's not a murder every week. It's, well, when we talk later this week about Hannah, you know, how many damn dead bodies are you going to find in Lake Eden, right? Whereas here, it's, yeah, we got this big sales thing coming in. We have some vandalism. We got to figure out. It's totally kind of the kind of crimes you should be having. But what they do is they don't just keep it as kind of like last week, like, oh, I got run off the road, who did this? But then they spin it and there's like a little bigger mystery that
Yeah.
you get there. So the red herring kind of isn't necessarily who the bad guy is. It's like, what is the mystery here? And I like that too. Like, was the whole, vandalism thing really like, oh my gosh, that's intriguing? No, but it wasn't really meant to be. It was, like you said, finding out the other thing that, was really the mystery, underlying mystery in this whole thing, which we had last week. So I find it fun. And it's also, I think, for this, half or 45-minute time period, the perfect way to do mysteries too, because you don't need if you're doing the murder thing or doing some other things, you may need to go more directions and have more red herrings where you don't or suspects, whatever. You don't really need that in this one. It can just take you through and you just enjoy the characters a lot. So
Well, standout scene or performance, you keep taking mine today. You already mentioned it, the morning after scene with Victoria and Darby in the kitchen, comparing their notes from the night before and like not saying what they both were truly doing. You know, I loved how they kind of danced around that. And then obviously at the end, Victoria's like, yeah, I already know what you did. So I enjoyed that scene. For me, that was kind of my standout of the episode. So I'm curious to see what was your standout.
that would have, like I said, it was such a good scene but
yeah, what did you pick?
you know, got to be the tango. Seeing Leah and Billy do the tango was just while Darby's up doing her thing, but at the same time, because Leah, who we're going to be talking to next week, um, she started her career as a ballet dancer. She was on Dancing with the Stars, all of that. She can definitely dance, but just seeing the two of them, because when they first like started talking, they both took tango lessons down in Argentina, Buenos Aires. So it was just fantastic, and then seeing them get to do it, it was lovely. It was fantastic. So it gave me all the feels.
Well, any final thoughts? For me, I didn't really have much else to mention. I still have not. I've stayed with it, watching one a week. And so I do like that pacing. I was just talking to Jenny, who we had on usually to preview for the Christmas movies. She said she's watching The Way Home, where they just binge it. Her and her mom binge the whole season. And so that made me think, oh, would I like The Way Home better if I binged it? I don't think I would, but the same with Spencer Sisters. I'm like, I like that I don't have to binge it to love it. Like, it can be a week to week and I still enjoy it just as much as if I would binge the whole thing. I'm sure. I mean, obviously I would still like it. So that's kind of a nice thing. Whereas The Way Home, I don't think either option is going to help save it for me.
I'm with you. So for me, I have the exact opposite. Why I'm desperately counting down I'm getting nervous because
did you watch it all?
No, this is actually the final one that I've seen, because I was going to go ahead.
You have paced yourself.
Yes, this is I've seen it all the way up until this one, and obviously watch this one again, but I do not know where we go after here. So I'm just stressed out knowing that there's no commitment even slightly that there's season 2, and loving the series so much. Like I said before, I hope Billy sticks around. I think he's a great balance, because Victoria's big, right? And I think he's equally her match there. And then Des, it's like, I guess, a love square now, because I'm guessing, at least I'm hoping, Des sticks with her and it's not one of those like one episode type things and then we never see Des again, right? It seemed like Des is going to get introduced. So we have Des and Darby, and then we're going to have Lucas and Lindsay, and I'm guessing all 4 at some point are going to be there, and then you're going to get Lucas now getting jealous, right? So
interesting. Okay.
Cross jealous. You don't see it?
No, I do. I'm afraid that if they do that, they'll flip partners. And so they're going to,
Lindsay will like all of a sudden be like, ooh, I like this guy.
Because, sometimes they'll do that if you really like, because obviously I think Des is a likable character. So sometimes when they do that, then they end up like, oh, shoot, we don't want to lose that actor because people really like him. Let's flip flop partners, which sometimes can work. But I feel like in this instance, you don't have to do that because it makes sense with where they are. But I hope not.
And it's funny because obviously,
but in 4 episodes, I doubt all that's going to happen.
I like Darby a lot, but I like Lindsay and Lucas together. I think they're a really cute, good couple together. So I don't actually want Lucas to leave her, because I think probably because I like her, she's really good and all that. So I don't know. So I'm excited, but I'm like I say, I'm stressed that we're only going to get 4. It's kind of like when we were watching the last of Mistletoe, murders, right? We're like, oh man, it's ending, and while we're confident it's coming back, And there's definitely been like the little rumor mills that it's approved and all that. But we know it's not going to be for another year, right? But this one, I don't know. Hope. But all right.
Well, we'll talk later this week. New Hannah.
See you later.